We're joined by two lawyers whose clients have made lots of headlines in recent months, and now perhaps they're making lots of money. Matthew Rosenblum represents the so-called Long Island Lolita, Amy Fisher. Mr. Rosenblum was involved in negotiating the fee Fisher received for her book, now hot off the presses, My Story. Kenneth Burrows is in the process of negotiating a very handsome book deal for his client, who knows a little about negotiating himself. It's David Koresh, the leader of the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Matthew, set the record straight.
Well, that's what I'd like to... I'm chomping at the bit a little bit over here. Amy Fisher did not profit one penny, not one penny from any movie, book, or any kind of deal that was made ever went into her pocket or her bank account. Amy Fisher was charged with a crime. She was in jail. She was in sad physical condition. There was what I believe and what we believe to be an outrageous bail of $2 million set, and we were able to secure her freedom by having a company called KLM pay part of the premium for the $2 million bail. Most of the property put up for her in the way of collateral was put up by her parents in the form of the ownership of houses and so on and so forth. She did not profit from any crime. She had not been convicted of any crime at that point in time.
The $60,000 payment, what was that all about?
She received no $60,000 payment. There was a company by the name of Fidelity International, International Fidelity, that wrote the bond. If you took out an insurance policy, there would be a premium. When a person gets a bail bond, there is a premium. Normally it's 10%, but because of the negotiations that we had with this company, which I believe is the biggest in the United States, they were willing to take 5%. So there was a $100,000 premium in order for them to write the bond so that Amy could get her health back, regain her health. The $60,000, or actually $80,000 that they paid to the Fidelity International Company was to secure that bond.
Okay,
it never went in Amy's pocket.
That's understandable, but you know, somebody out there might say, I don't care whether the $60,000 went for a new black Mercedes or to get her bond.
You should care, Arthur, because one of the values that underlies our society is that people accused of a crime are entitled to a defense. And it's one of the unfortunate but true facts today that the only way you can get a defense sometimes, especially in high-profile, notorious cases, is by getting high-profile, talented counsel who do not always, I'm sorry to say, work for nothing.
Okay, so the two of you are talking about two different things.
No,
Matthew says in his client's case, the money went to get the bail to free her.
Not to get the bail, to pay the premium for the bail.
All right. To pay the premium.
And not a penny went into our pockets.
Not a penny went into our pockets. We understand that. We understand that. You're saying that beyond the bail, which may be a serious problem in many cases, I'm not minimizing the fact that if you do not get bail, you do not get released, that many of these deals can be understood best as ways of raising money to get defense counsel, and we in this country prize the right of defense.
Well, we need a defense. People are accused of a crime. That doesn't make them guilty of a crime. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. The only way that people, I don't know what Miss Fisher's counsel arrangements were, but the only way that many people accused of a crime can mount the gigantic effort that it takes when you have a nationwide affair with hundreds of television cameras and hundreds of and the entire power and majesty of the state of Texas, Idaho, Nevada arrayed against you is to get counsel who is skilled and able to protect your rights, and you've got to be able to afford them.
Now, Matthew, what about the book?
The book? Which book?
My Story. My Story.
There was a book made, which was made on the basis of quote-unquote public domain. Amy didn't receive a penny. Our law firm didn't receive a penny. That book was made. There were other books that were written. Amy didn't receive a penny. Our law firm didn't receive a penny. The book that is currently out, without getting too much into the details of it, Amy didn't receive a penny. Our law firm didn't receive a penny. She obligated herself in order to secure her freedom, in order to get overcome a health situation. What people don't understand out there is that this girl was literally losing pounds of weight on a weekly basis. She was suffering nosebleeds. She was physically deteriorating to the point where the Fisher family was just helpless, and they said, please do anything you can to get our daughter out so we can nurse her back to health. It didn't involve attorney's fees. It didn't involve anything.
Well, what's KLM Company?
KLM is a company that came along, as did many, and offered to put the money up that would secure the bond. The Fishers had a lot of money, a lot of assets, but they had no capital. They couldn't raise the bond. We went to the appellate division. Go ahead.
Amy is not getting a penny from the 3 network movies?
Not a penny.
Who is getting the money?
Call KLM. They sold a portion of what she obligated herself to do.
What did she obligated herself to do?
Literary rights, the movie rights, and so on and so forth.
And she doesn't get a penny for these services?
She hasn't. Check her bank accounts. She hasn't gotten a thing.
Ken, you're sort of grinning. Do I sense a shell game here?
I don't think it's a shell game at all. If Matt says that Amy hasn't gotten a penny, I'm sure that that's true. But I'm also sure that whatever profits or emoluments came from the sale of her rights have gone to a place that will help her.
That will help her. That's a euphemism, of course.
No, well, again, that's wrong.
This KLM company is earning income, and Amy is obligating herself to tell the story. It sounds to me as if what we've got is, look, if it's legal, fine. Well, but this is a way around the son of Sam law.
It's not a way around the son of Sam law. The son of Sam law deals with convicted criminals. There were 3 attacks that we faced in order to get Amy Fisher out of jail on what I believe was an outrageous bail of $2 million. Not appropriate in this case when compared against cases of a less visible nature. There are impediments. When you're a national case, all of a sudden what should be a $250,000 bail becomes a $2 million bail. Maybe you have things to take advantage of, such as your reputation, but there are also inequities built in.
You argue the case for your client and her health and her situation very well. My guess is that there are folks sitting out there who say somehow some of this money is eventually going to move to her. Let me talk to you, Ken. Your situation is without question the most unique in this whole field. Your client is sitting there in that compound, and there's a negotiation going on for, I gather, book and television and movies.
That's correct. We've been authorized to discuss with media the fact that Mr. Koresh is prepared to make his story available to an appropriate medium of communication.
Again, this guy may be tried for murder. There have been deaths there. Doesn't that make you a little queasy?
That he'd be tried for murder? It surely does.
That you're out negotiating with the media of this country to produce funds for him.
Why is... no, it doesn't make me at all queasy, Arthur. I have... if he is a subject of interest, if people are willing to pay money to put him on the screen, to put his story on the screen, why should that make me queasy to be the intermediary? Isn't that what a lawyer's function is? To serve a client?
Function is, but again,
is it a lawyer's function to make judgments, to say I can only represent people whose beliefs or whose opinions I approve of?
Well, some people might say that people should not profit from crime.
Well, I don't think we have to talk about profiting or not profiting. That's not the issue here. There is a story and there is a need. And when the story and the need come together, there very possibly will be something entertaining to see or to read.
And I think there's another issue here. When you label this nicely, profiting from crime, you fail to take into account, number one, and I don't know anything about your case or what you're doing, that profiting from crime assumes that a crime has been committed and that hasn't been proven yet. Number two is the legal system. The federal law has a son of Sam law. New York State has a son of Sam law. There are multiple mechanisms to sue somebody civilly. Just because somebody momentarily may profit from a crime they've been convicted of doesn't mean that they'll eventually end up with that money, and the system is well equipped.
That's a very good way of saying it hasn't played itself out yet.
That's correct.
I would imagine, knowing the quality of both you guys, that in the back of your mind you may yet face problems with the son of Sam law. You don't have to admit that that's true. In your case, you've gotten accused. You don't have somebody.
I don't even have an accused. I have somebody who may be accused.
May be accused, not even formally charged yet. But
and of course, Texas has got a very different statutory scheme, one that may not yet have caught up with some of the recent constitutional developments.
That's right, and the same might be true of the federal statute as well. Thank you both for coming here to deal with two very difficult stories. It's two very difficult. When we